So 64% of people say the economy is worse than it was a year ago.
Well, no kidding.
76% of Democrats say the economy is worse. Only 50% of Republicans say the economy is worse. And there's been a debate about a K-shaped recovery. The kind of recession is characterized by the fortunes of workers that go into one or two directions. The first segment of the population has its prospects recover from a downturn almost immediately, and another suffers much longer. The differences between the rich and the poor. Do you think the wealth gap is getting wider during the coronavirus? Did this thing make it wider or not at all?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's where Jay Powell and his happy printing press come in. So the biggest companies have been bailed out, companies that should have gone out of business. It's called creative destruction. You get rid of the unprofitable, inefficient operators. You make room for the new entrants. It's the way productivity grows. But we haven't done that. Instead, we've kept all the businesses that are big and have access to the capital markets, access to high-yield bonds, junk bonds. We've kept all of them in business. He's kept the stock market at all-time highs so that the wealth that the 55% of Americans who own stocks, they're feeling awesome. And he's also bought up a third of mortgages. He owns a third of the mortgage market. That goes a long way towards giving you a 2.96% 30-year conventional mortgage rate. So Americans who have built up record levels of equity in their homes have pulled $100 billion out in home equity in the past 6 months alone, ended September 30. $100 billion of cash. So if you own a home and if you own stocks, you're feeling awesome. You are living the dream. If you don't, you have a whole different perspective on life in America.
That's what they talk about, this K-shaped
That's
recovery,
the K.
right? So initially they were talking about, it's going to be a V-shaped recovery, right? It's going to.
Well, for the top, it's the top of the K. It is a V.
Okay.
And for the bottom, it's not.
See. You took the K and you put it into a V. That's good.
But that's the thing.
That.
The top of the K.
Some industries do well, some people do well, the other ones don't.
Well, they were throwing out
the top of the K applies to the haves.
They were also talking about
a
U-shaped recovery, right? It was going to take a bit longer. Then they were talking about worst case scenario was an L-shaped recovery, right?
I don't know if it's a haves and have-nots. I think it's industry.
No, but if again, 55% of Americans own stocks. So the other 45% are not enjoying the fruits of stocks being at all-time highs.
So what's the solution? What's the solution if the other 45% are not?
Again, we have to enable people to live the dream. You're an entrepreneur.
Right.
You've brought lots of young employees on in your time.
I did, but 95% of them quit.
Well,
I can't do
we're surrounded by young people who have succeeded.
What I'm saying is on the sales side. No, what I'm saying on the sales side. So here's a challenge. So let's talk about it. Pareto theory. Are you familiar with the Pareto theory?
Mm-mm.
The Pareto theory is that 80% of the work is going to get done by 20% of the people. This is not a new thing.
80-20
right?
rule.
80-20 rule applies in sports. If you yesterday, Davis scored 34 points. And, you know, he's the guy that's scoring the most points, LeBron James' teammate ever, 28.8 points a game. No one's ever, okay. You know, 80% of points were scored by 20% of the guys pretty much. If you look at that number, it's not the, you know, you see the few producing the most. So then the challenge with this concept of the rich getting richer, the poor getting poor, I have a challenge with that. And here's my challenge with that. If the challenge is to crucify the guys that made the right decision to invest and the guys didn't, why are we saying the guys that are making money are bad people? They're making money because they stayed in the market.
They're not bad people, but the people who don't own stocks, surely they don't have, they're getting by on credit cards. They don't have any money to invest.
I know what it is to be in that situation. My dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store. I mean, parents got a divorce. I was $49K in debt at 22 years old. I get it. I had the option to go to Vegas every other weekend and party, or I had the option to save money. I hated saving money.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that the 80-20 rule applied a few generations ago? Or do you think something has happened to the work ethic because we've given a generation of children? Sorry, soy boy, but that we've given an entire generation of children.
I'm just glad you referred to me as a children.
Everything that they want.
Time Magazine did an article 6 years ago titled, you know, how millennials are becoming narcissists, right? All they care about is themselves and all this other stuff. And you read the article, it says, oh, millennials are this, millennials are that. They want to take pictures of themselves. They think they're so important. They think they're this, they think they're that. You know how the article ended? The article ended, here's how it says, the article says, or if we are the ones that are making fun of millennials for only thinking about themselves, maybe we're just getting older and we forgot how we used to be. So what I'm trying to say is that story about when I was younger, I was going to school and it was snowing and it was a mountain both ways. You know, this whole story you hear about that people. It's so hard. So I think times have been hard. I think obviously it's been harder than what it is today. Today's easier than it's ever been before.
They had their coming of age in the middle of a financial crisis. I mean,
I do think it's easier today ever before to make money, even in sales. Like, I'll give you an example. Instagram. If I want to find leads today, I can send 100 DMs a day to network with people. 40 years ago, if I'm in sales, I'm doing real estate, I have to have quarters in my car. And if I'm driving an hour to a person's home and they don't pick up and it's raining, I got to find a local, a phone booth and wait for somebody to finish their call to put a quarter. Yeah, I mean, it's a joke today to make money.
I've got news for you. The generation behind the millennials, my experience, the interns we've had, they are work horses.
Gen Z.
Yeah,
they kick ass.
Work
they do.
and work and work, and they're serious about it. They save money. They're just, they have a different mindset. And I'm not too worried about this country's future. I'm not, because I know that there's an entire generation coming up that will weather and withstand, as long as they're not day trading.
Yeah.
But there's another generation that does have a good old fashioned work ethic, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah, what's the 80-20 concept?
Pareto theory.
Predo.
Pareto, I think, is it a T or a D?
Okay, Pareto, whatever. The 80-20 rule. You alluded.
That's right. Pareto.
The Pareto theory. Okay.
80-20. Right.
So here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
We all have decisions to make. We all have 24 hours, right? We're all going to sleep, 6 to 8 hours. Some sleep 4, some sleep 8, some sleep 10. But what are you doing with the rest of your day? Some people choose to spend their mornings with us on a podcast, learning, getting smarter.
Yep.
Some people are reading. Some people at night. Kai reads 10 books a day. Some people do that. Some people in their spare time choose to slack off, smoke weed, play video games, BS. It's also about what you do with your time. So there's, I'm sure, a correlation with the 55% who are investing in America, who are reading or watching podcasts like this, versus the person who does their 9 to 5, they get off, they get their paycheck, they smoke a joint, they sit at home, they do nothing, they play video games, they don't work out. There has to be a correlation with that.
But I think the coronavirus is going to end that. I really do.
Is going to end what?
The what?
I think the coronavirus is going to change the way work is approached. I don't think the 9 to 5ers got too long of a life expectancy in the workforce. I think that the coronavirus has expedited automation, like put it into hyperdrive. So, I mean, it's living through a true
very powerful what you just said, by the way. Did you hear what you just said? So you're saying the 9 to 5er is not going to have a long lifespan, and what coronavirus did, automation is going to expedite that process.
Look, if you're Joe Q, human resources manager, and you've got all these people working remotely right now, all you have to do is pull up a spreadsheet. And you just look at their numbers and you're like, this person's productive. Oh, I always thought this person was a slacker.
Out.
Look, they are. And it's objective.
Yep.
And you just go delete.
Ooh.
And that's what, but now we see, I mean, if a working mother who's got 3 kids doing 3 different grades, doing, different curriculums, and she can still produce, because who knows if she's up at 2:00 in the morning when everything finally settles down. But all I'm saying is that this is going to be something that separates the wheat from the chaff. I almost said something different, but and it will be a game changer in how the workforce itself evolves into its new self. Small businesses in America used to employ lots of people, human capital. Now people don't want to interact as much with humans. So even small businesses are automating. So it is time to realize, I'm back on my China soapbox, it is time to realize that they're inventing the next generation of technology, and we need to get busy and make sure that we are in front of them.